Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome once again to Collateral Damage. I am one of your hosts, Anthony. Joining me today is our good pal, Cameron, and we've got a heck of a battle report coming your way shortly. Before we hop into the action, let's talk about the list. Cameron, you're up first.
Right, today I'm playing Oriax, the Soul Slaver. I'm racking Carnage and Inviolable Resolve, running a Jackal with an Arc Node and a Hunter Rifle to stay back and kind of bounce those spells around. We have the character-heavy Moloch, a single Ravener, and I'm trying out the new Cephalix models Exulon Nostula and Aberration, 2 units of Nashers, a unit of Rogue Harriers, a unit of Axers, and a unit of Barragers to clean up the chaff. I have a standard rack of cards with the exception of Sapper.
For the first time on the channel, and for me personally, dripping with arcane fluids and probably a little 3D printer resin, is our new Dark Operations army. I'm taking this out for its initial spin with Cognifex Cyphon and a whole bunch of beef. We've got 5 non-named and 1 named monstrosities. We've got the Malfesser from the recent Crix Cephalix Cadre, hard to say, 2 Wardens, and 3 Wreckers. I've racked nothing because this is a legacy army and I don't get to do that, which was a little confusing, but also a little freeing to not have to worry about those choices. Sometimes less choices are better. Supporting all these monstrosities is 3 agitators who will come in and instigate and make them hit more accurately and harder. The new unit of Criterions from the same Crix Cephalix Cadre to hold some objectives and be annoying. 2 units of Drudge Conduits with their Mindbender attachments for the Shield Guard benefit, as well as some cheeky channeling with Siphon's Gallows spell. And then finally, a unit of Overlords to help power up those monstrosities. My cards are, much like Cameron, pretty basic set of stuff with the addition of Sapper. This week, the scenario that we have randomly chosen is Payload. Payload has 2 40mm objectives near the center of the board, 2 50mm objectives out on the sort of extreme flanks, and 2 flags also slightly off the center. The twist for this particular scenario is that at the end of each scoring turn, after points have been scored, a player that secures a 50mm objective can move that objective 3 inches toward their opponent's scenario terrain, plus 1 inch for every other 40 or 50mm objective secured by that player. What that ultimately leads to is if that 50mm objective ends its movement within the area of the scenario terrain, or in the case that the scenario terrain is on like an obstruction or something that's not possible to stand on, within 3 inches of that piece of terrain, that player immediately earns 3 victory points and you remove the 50mm objective from play. Like all of these new Steamroller 2025 scenarios, the game ends at the end of the second player's 7th turn.
Orgoth Deployment. So I start by placing Exulon and Aberration pretty much middle board. Trying to play kind of standard here to see which way the scenario is going to go for us. I do anchor a little bit towards the payload side. Start to stack up the Axers and Barragers. Moloch on my payload side to help walk that up. Arc Node on the left payload so that he can support and get some buff units over there. Deploy the Ravener and Harriers on the left side to push up on the payload also, and then keep the Nashers for advanced deployment.
Dark Operations Deployment. So one of the things that I want to make sure that I'm taking use of in this, my first outing with this faction, is the rule on Cyphon called Defensive Formation. This rule says, while in this model's control range and base to base with 1 or more models in its battle group, models in this model's battle group with an extra large base or smaller get +2 arm and can't be knocked down. So One of the benefits to monstrosities is that they are cheap and they have a full 36 box health grid, but the defensive stats aren't great. Most of them are 10-17, 11-17 on the Malfessors. So having them be close to one another to get that bonus and the no knockdown, 10-19 and 11-19 is a lot more palatable. So in my deployment, I try to keep my monstrosities in 2 pods of 3, surrounded by some drudges for the shield guard, and then backed up with support.
Orgoth Advanced Deployment. This one's pretty straightforward. We just have the 2 units of Nashers. We're going to split those down the middle, 1 on each side. Just intending to move those up and get some early board presence with them. They're pretty threatening, so I like to kind of screen with them. Things are really needing to stay outside of their threat range. Orgoth Turn 1. Unfortunately, we actually lost the footage for my turn 1, but not to worry, we have a faithful recreation for you.
The Defenders of Helm's Deep, turn 1. I mean, Cephalix. So we didn't lose the footage for mine, so we'll talk through here. So interesting thing about monstrosities, they don't power up like jacks, and they don't generate fury like war beasts. They have a couple other interesting rules, but no freebies. So I use Siphon's Focus and put 1 on all 6 of my monstrosities, keeping 1. Also used my Overlords to put another few focus out on some of the monstrosities on my right side. Pretty much everything else just moved up to get in position, unpacked my lines a little bit, and set up to start putting some pressure onto scenario. Checking my phone here because, like I said, this is first time that I'm playing the army, so I want to make sure. I think what I'm looking up here is do I get to run for free as a monstrosity? The answer is yes. Yeah, just unpacking, getting some position on those 4 drudges in case he moves anything up to maybe get a cheeky gallows off and pull it into the monstrosity beatdown zone. Moving over the criterions on the side with my scenario terrain to make sure that I've got something there in place to keep the payload scoring from being an easy slam dunk for Cameron, and then just moving Cyphon up and making sure everything's in control range.
Orgoth Turn 2. So we're doing a bit of pre-measuring here. We know that can't let this wall of beef hit me. Do some upkeep. We upkeep vision on the aberration, cap off the Ravener with 3 focus. Nostula puts 3 on aberration, put 2 on the arc node, and keep the rest on Oriax. Move the row carriers up very far to the left flank just to threaten and protect. Followed up by the Nashers, pre-measuring to keep those guys out of range just to threaten and kind of take some board position. Moloch moves up forward of my payload. And then we move the barragers up I'm sorry, the Nashers and then the Barragers up to start taking some pot shots at the conduits, just clear out some of those chaff units. Just checking for LOS here to maximize the AoEs. First attack hits, kills one, another makes a tough roll and is knocked down. Second attack hits, kills two. The third model is hit and survives but is knocked down, and the AoE splashes onto the agitator for 1 point of damage. We've repositioned those barragers 3 inches back to safety. And the rest of this turn is mostly just a lot of pre-measuring, trying to make sure that I stay out of his threat ranges, that I can keep the initiative. We move the Axers up to kind of jam the payload side and block with the terrain. The Ravener moves up behind the Axers, waiting to be second wave. Move the arc node far left flank towards the enemy payload, and then position Aberration up middle. He's a little too blocked to move very far forward, unfortunately. And then lastly, we are activating Oriax. He's just moving up and casting Starcrossed for a little bit of safety.
Cephalic's turn 2. Well, Cameron's moved up, but not enough for this to be go time. So I'm looking and seeing, can I get some gallows off to get a few things out of position? Maybe smack a couple of these Nashers and Axers down, because they hurt when they hit. So I've allocated some more focus out to everybody. All my monstrosities now have 2. I keep 4 on Cyphon. Move those green crystal conduits up near the middle of the board there. I want to, I'm doing a gallows here now on this forward Nasher. I've also feeded this turn for the defensive part of the, since I'm going to be the one getting alpha'd. So roll that, hit the gallows. Check the distance, pull 6 inches and do 6 damage. My conduit model dies though, because that's just what happens when you channel through them. Cameron was a sweetheart. I realized I'd forgot to move my caster up out of kill box, and he let me go back and adjust that because he is a good opponent. So we move up the Wrecker, which pretty easily finishes off the Nasher, especially with the feed turn bonuses. Not a whole unit or any kind of major damage, but I'll take killing one of those Weapon Master models anytime I can. I'll move one of the wardens up there base to base so I can get that defensive formation buff I talked about earlier. Here in the middle, we actually move the Malfessor up, and he has a net cannon, just like the Subduer has. So I shoot the wool core models here on the bottom of the screen, trying to pull one of them out, and just checking to see how the drag's going to go here, because it pulls all the way in. So we hit. Pulls him in and kills him. The overlords move, or excuse me, the overlords move up, give out some more focus here on the bottom side of the screen, monstrosities. And what's left of my other unit of conduits here on the top part of the screen sort of move up to create a little bit of a speed bump there for the Criterions.
Anthony's stars were not crossed enough, and I lost a couple heavy infantry there, just not respecting the drags enough. But I do have good board position, and I'm looking forward to turn 3. Should be able to get some good damage out.
Yep, and while I would have loved to have killed more stuff, I think it was the right call here to sort of batten down the hatches, so to speak, and use the defensive part of my feet so that I can hopefully resist the incoming clapback here from the Orgoth.
Orgoth Turn 3. We start by upkeeping vision and adding 1 focus to Moloch. We are doing Barrages Shoot the Conduits Part 2 as they move up and get line of sight.
Trying to get a creme brulee torch to work.
Shot hits and kills 2. Second shot kills another and AoEs onto the attachments. Reposition the barrages back. Now it's time for the flanking Harriers to charge in. Try to get into those wardens. Hopefully just get a little bit of damage in, add some confusion, maybe get a lucky critical pitch off.
So I guess it's going to become something of a meme. Anytime that I play with some new toys, if you remember last time I played against the Orgoth, I played Chum for the first time. He got crit pitched into the middle of the board and promptly beat up. So right here, it happens again. Crit pitch onto my wrecker here. Not in the middle of the board, but I should just stop playing my new toys versus Cameron. He's just going to throw them on the ground.
Meat's back on the menu. So the Harriers, unfortunately, don't do a lot of damage here, but we, of course, do get that good pitch off. The first and second models do nothing at all, and the third attacks the Agitator and actually misses both of his attacks. So we reposition them backwards, their job sort of done, and just spread them out a little bit, trying to threaten the back line for the following turns, maybe a distraction. Move the Jackal Arknote up and drop him on the table. shoot one of the knockdown conduits, but end up doing no damage on that. Realize there is an objective to keep and move the Axers back onto that piece of terrain to score. And then throw the remaining 2 Nashers into the front wrecker and position them as forward as possible, just trying to break the line and get some damage in, maybe get to some of the softer support units in the back. First Nasher hits the wrecker, ends up dealing 5 damage total. Not great. And the second Nasher goes for one of the agitators in the back. She does kill, triggering a berserk attack. She unfortunately misses. Next up is Oriax. We hit with Curse of Shadows, throw out Star-Crossed, spend a soul token to gate the Ravener forward and around the terrain so that he can get a good charge lane. And he spends another soul to make himself incorporeal. Spends 1 soul to gain 3 focus and casts Icy Grip on the front wrecker. Other unit of Nashers charges in, choosing the knocked down wrecker as their target. First hit does a respectable 12 damage and follows up with another 9. And the second model swings, dealing 5 and then 7 damage with the second attack, putting a pretty good hit on the wrecker. He is barely hanging on to life. Then we charge Aberration in to the midboard wrecker, hoping for a kill there. Unfortunately, I roll pretty low on all of his initials, doing 6, 3, and 1 damage, only 10 total coming out from Aberration. Then we go into using his adhesive sprays to lay down some shadow bind. We have a pretty good spray line through the back there, trying to tie those wreckers up. We do hit and shadow bind the closest wrecker, but missed the remaining targets. I'm doing a little pre-measuring to move into line of sight and range with Exulon Nostula. I'm trying to make some effect with his sprays. Probably a little too close here, but we are risking it. We are hitting Aberration as well with that spray, but only doing 2 damage. More importantly, we are hitting Anthony's caster, doing 4 points of damage, which he spends a focus to negate, but he does suffer brain damage and won't be able to cast. And lastly, we revive a Gnasher and put him right into the thick of it. Next, Moloch moves up and charges the Drudge unit, protecting his flag. We do kill the Drudge, then spend the soul tokens on Dark Blessing for the extra defense, and then last to Shadowgate back to our payload. Next, the Ravener is obligated to charge the extremely hurt Wrecker. I just can't leave him alive. I wish I could have picked a better target for the Ravener, but it would just be too risky to ignore that thing. So we throw the Ravener into it and finish it off. And at the end of Orgoth Turn 3, the score is 4-5 with Orgoth in the lead. That was long term. I don't know what I was doing for half of that. It's just
Cephalix turn 3. So I'd started to develop a little bit of a plan as he was jamming me up. I'm all like, oh yeah, we'll just use Cyphon's Abattoir spell. Everybody gets to make a free out of activation attack. We can clean up some of this stuff. And yeah, I forgot that Exulon Nostilla had brain damage on a 10 or 12 inch spray. I forget exactly, but so I'm in a bit of a pickle here. So we cut it out, but I go in the tank for quite a long time to figure out how I'm going to unjam here. And I feel like the way to victory here is to get a model onto Exulon Nostilla and remove her, which would remove Aberration as well. So the way that we set that up, I went ahead and used all of Cyphon's focus to fuel the rest of my monstrosities because he can't do anything else with it. I move up and instigate with one of the agitators and have the Wrecker in the back here. Start to clear out the revived Gnasher and the other Gnasher. Having to fight through a tough to get both of them down. So here I'm moving that Wrecker back. He has reposition 3 as a field marshal, Cyphon does, so I move that Wrecker back to give the bonus armor to Cyphon. We've got a Warden here that comes up. Starts to do some work. Trying to just clear me a lane out here. Kills these Gnashers. After a tough check. Gets him there. And then I move him back also to form a little triangle of power with Cyphon, trying to block any lanes to shooting So here is what I need to do is use the Malfesser, who has a net cannon, to pull in Exilon Nostilla. And there's one model there, it's kind of hard to see, that I need to kill. Starcrossed is up. I'm instigated. The defense isn't particularly high, and I don't know why, but I don't boost it, and I roll with Starcrossed triple ones, which basically means I have to kill that model that I'm in combat with. I cannot, with my initials, I cannot shoot that net cannon. So just overconfidence there. I had the focus. I should have boosted it. I just was a little already off kilter with the brain damage, and just wasn't playing and thinking correctly. And I think it's easy to get in your own head like that when you're playing, especially when you're doing a new army or a new list that you hadn't really practiced before. But with that not happening, I end up not being able to get to Exilon Nostilla, and it really kind of puts me on the back foot. We do try to do as best we can to salvage up here. We kill that model with the Malfesser, and then we move on. I move my Overlords in the back into position to get some of their sprays out. Really not expecting much here, but these Overlords actually crank it and end up killing 2 of these Harriers, so that there's a little less pressure here in the backfield for future turns. But I'm sitting here now and thinking, how do we stop the bleed here on scenario? Well, let's move some stuff up. Let's put some damage in on this goodness, the Ravener. I have to use the Pathfinder card to get that Warden in there. I do a little bit of damage here. Wardens aren't as punchy as Wreckers, but they've still got, with Instigate, some ability to get some work done. I think I get about 17 damage, 18 damage, sorry. I can math, I promise. Not enough to put it to bed, unfortunately. So not much left to do here. Don't have ability to charge into Aberration, so this Impervious Flesh is really going to hurt, even though the Wrecker is powered up with Instigate. So just walk up and start swinging, hoping to just absolutely crank some damage rolls. He's fairly easy to hit. That's not the problem. The problem is just rolling that 1 damage die. Even at dice +3, though, because of visions being up, I'm only able to put, I think, 23 damage total. It's a good chunk. He has 36 like the rest of the monstrosities, but not quite getting me there. On the left side, I moved to the Criterions to where they were contesting and scoring. So I did stop the bleed on the scenario a little bit, but Cameron does pull ahead by 2 points. He's at 7 and I'm at 5.
All right. By the end of turn 3, things are looking okay for Orgoth. After a fairly lackluster Alpha Strike turn, I do, just by the skin of my teeth, kind of get out of my gambit with Exilon. If he had died, certainly would have tilted the game in a completely different direction, losing a relatively healthy Aberration. I still have pretty good board position, and my scoring is starting to run away. Moloch is pretty much controlling the payload objective on his own, just a one-man army over there. I was expecting the Harriers to be a little bit more of a problem, but he just kind of casually blasted them off the table. But otherwise, things are looking okay. Orgoth Turn 4. There is no need to upkeep, and I set on all of my focus to go ahead and activate Oriax. This is going to be a feat turn for us, so we're going to be primarily spending souls and just slinging spells. Start with the Shadowy Touch, which misses. We spend a soul to go ahead and give 3 focus to Moloch, and then feet, and get a stack of 5 souls. It's D3 plus 2, and we fortunately roll a 6 there. We recast the spell for -2 armor on the Malfessor, which actually hits this time. Spend a soul token to get 3 focus back. Put Carnage out. And grab another 3 focus to cap out, and then spend another soul so that Oriax is incorporeal. This is one of the nice things about monstrosities, is that they just become more focus efficient as the game goes on. And with Oriax especially, you can just get more and more spells out. And once he's stacked up on souls, he has fairly infinite focus, it feels like. Next, we activate the Ravener and go for the Malfessor. Of course, no charge bonus here, but since he has Weapon Master, he's still putting out pretty good damage. His initials do a combined 25 damage, I believe. Right, now we are buying attacks for the Ravener. We do another 12 damage. We manage to kill the Malfessor. And that gives us a Berserk attack into the Warden for 7 damage. By another couple attacks with the Ravener to finish his activation, doing another 16 into the Warden. But not quite enough to kill him. You go back to Exilon Nostula just to get his spray off. Make sure that we hit the caster and keep applying brain damage. And that does hit, but after focus reduction does 1 point of damage to the caster. We reapply Vision to Aberration. And move on to activating him. Have this slab of beef duel in the center of the table. Aberration versus a wrecker that he's been engaged with almost the entire game. He puts 22 damage into the wrecker total with his initials and the saw launcher. We do end up managing to remove the wrecker. We go on into the adhesive launcher, just trying to lock things down. There's a little cluster back there protecting the caster. We're just trying to keep it trapped. It does hit the Warden and shadow bind it, but misses the caster. Then we reload and boost a hit on the caster as well. Next up is Moloch. He's charging the unit of Criterions. Just checking for carnage range, making sure we're near the objective still. And then his first attack smashes one of the Criterions. He fails his tough roll. And we start using his gauntlet for some possession attacks. I'm just hoping that the model lives with a little bit of health so that it can attack, which it does, but unfortunately deals no damage to his buddy. Moloch follows that up with a gore attack, which also deals no damage. And then we are into buying attacks. Buy with the mace first, but do very little damage with that, and they are regenerating through it as well. Get another possession attack out, does just 2 points of damage after their regeneration, and then we buy a final mace attack and score another kill. Then we are spending souls for Dark Blessing and Gate of Hell to move back to the payload. Moloch just bobbing and weaving. Move the barrages up to start chipping away. There aren't many soft targets for them anymore. This is where they kind of start to lack. But we do have a good AoE splash there. It just happens to all be fairly high defense, high armor targets. I think they end up doing 2 points of damage to the Warden, and then their second shot splashes 3. We get aggressive with the Arknode Jackal and take a hunting rifle shot at the Agitator. We have to move within 5 to get around stealth there. But it is a good shot, and the Agitator is killed. Then the remaining Harrier charges into the Warden. We are fishing for a crit here, but don't get that. Do 5 damage total in his activation. But we have successfully taken pretty full control of the board here, so scoring should be pretty strongly in our favor. Got a small lead to add on to, hoping to wrap things up here.
Yeah, so we discussed it out here with Cameron going up to 10 and blocking me from scoring any additional points. There really wasn't a way with the models I had left on board to I would need to have scored more points than was possible. It was also kind of late. I'd drawn a little wife aggro. I'm also very old and go to bed with the chickens. So it was late and we decided to call it there. But excellent game as always. I think if I would have done anything different personally, I would have boosted that attack roll. But honestly, it's just one of those things that happens. You're playing a new army or a new list. You just kind of maybe feel a little under the gun from having to constantly look up everything, and maybe you know, just to be considerate, want to go a little faster and maybe forget to boost or forget a rule or something like that. But these things happen. But I think Cameron played excellently. Really focused in on the scenario win, and I did what I could. I definitely learned a lot, and we'll be looking forward to playing some more Dark Operations in the future. But definitely still have a path to go and more to learn. I appreciate his patience with me as I was doing a new thing. And as always, great game and great opponent.
Yeah, that was a fun game. Both armies looking pretty thin by the end there. We were definitely competing right up until the very end. It was pretty cool to use some of the new models, Exulon and Aberration, as well as Oriax, which is not an Orgoth caster that you really feel inclined to play very often. He doesn't have a ton of synergies with the army, other than as like a buff piece. And then a lot of our local meta is undead, so there's not a lot of opportunities for him to collect souls. You're kind of relying on his feet for him to be able to do a lot. But in this game, he actually got used to pretty good effect, I think. Definitely made a difference, and Exulon's brain freeze sort of clutched it, and then just getting lucky with Exulon surviving when I positioned him really just poorly, and probably should have lost those pieces, but mistakes happen, like you said. Overall, just a really fun game, enjoyable through and through every turn. Of course, some mistakes just with new pieces on my end, and just being a little bit unfamiliar with some of the tools, and falling back on some of Orgoth's crushes, like Nashers, Raveners, those pieces that are just very well statted and pretty much always effective. Good game. Looking forward to the next one.
Yeah. Well, we thank all of you guys out there for watching with us and for being a part of our battle today. We hope that if you like what you see here, you will complete your ritual and subscribe, click the notification bell, or click that like button for us. We have a Discord community that is growing and becoming very active that you can join. We'll put that information down in the description below. And as always, we'll be back again very soon with another episode of Collateral Damage.